Let's see.
That looks good.
See if it recognizes it right.
Let's say continue. Identifying.
If it does, it's going to be forward. May I?
Yeah, try. Oh, hold on. Shit. Oh, no.
Oh,
It
did this
thinks,
before. Thinks
Okay.
it's a keyboard,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe just click whenever. No. Continue. Just try to click. Oh, cannot be identified.
Let me
Okay.
turn it off.
Keyboard type. Okay. Oh man.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Let's see. Oh man. Good save.
Okay.
Thank
I'll
you.
sit in the.
Cheers, man.
All right.
Hi guys. Whenever you tell me, I can. Yep. Hello. Great. Okay. Hello and welcome to this session. I'm glad to be here. It's my first time here in Newton Square, so happy to share this time with you guys. In today's session, I'm going to talk about why every business leader has to think as an enterprise architect. I'm going to talk about what happens with this disconnection between the enterprise strategy and the execution. What happens with the distance between business and IT. And I will go back, I will deep dive, well, not deep dive, I will explore a little bit what has happened, what is happening now, and what will happen in the future. And then I will tie it back to this original question. So hopefully, when we get there, I'll have all of you convinced on the value of that. So before starting, let me introduce myself. I'm Guillem. I come from Barcelona. I started my professional career, the usual, I would say SAP consultant career path. Consultant, project management, doing some SAP ECC S/4HANA implementations. Then I evolved into solution architecture, then enterprise architecture. And I ended up advising some customers on how to move to the cloud, how to get there, how to prepare there to be architecture. So I spent almost 10 years on doing that kind of stuff. Then I was lucky and I jumped into the other side. I went onto the customer side. I was the CEO of a company that manufactured devices to smell fragrances. You might have experienced that if you go to a perfumery store and you try to smell more than 3 fragrances, your nose gets saturated, right? You don't get to smell anything else. It's a natural constraint. Well, so what those devices do is they allow you to smell as many fragrances as you want without this nose saturation. Anyways, it was a B2B company targeted to high-end luxury customers. We worked with Chanel, LVMH, Rituals, the big retailers, Sephora, Douglas, Notino, all the big ones. I was also the CTO of Innovation and New Technologies at Puig, which is one of the big companies we have in Spain, the one that manufactures and distributes, for example, Paco Rabanne, Carolina Herrera, Penhaligons, that kind of brands, so it's pretty big. And I said I was lucky because I got to see the two sides of the coin, right? How to make the right decisions, the best decisions to provide the best services as a service provider, and how to make the best decisions to keep the business sound, to keep the business profitable, right? So after this journey, I joined the SAP Enterprise Architecture and Advisory Group. By the way, not to brag, the best group in the whole company. We have real good experts. They know everything. We have really smart people there. They know everything about any industry. So if you guys have any questions about enterprise architecture, even if it's, I don't know, methodologies, frameworks, how to get there, how to integrate AI, we are the guys, okay? And if you don't want to talk about enterprise architecture and you just want to have a beer, we're also those guys as well. So happy to join you for a couple of drinks. So let's get straight to it. First, I'm gonna share a couple of examples. The names are not that relevant. What I want to highlight here is the relevance of this distance that I was talking about before. So my first example is the BBC Digital Media Initiative. I don't know if you know that example. This was a big, huge transformation program that BBC launched around 2007, 2008. And their goal was to, as you can see here, digitize all their archive and all the production processes and stuff that they had already there. And it made sense, right? So they could manage better what they already had. They could manage their assets and they could provide better services to the customers. So everything made sense from a business standpoint. So here's what it ended up being. Okay, cool. We don't have sound. Okay, let me see if I can. Okay, it's gonna. Let's see if you can hear it.
The BBC has apologised for wasting licence payers' money after abandoning an IT project that has already cost £100 million. The corporation's chief technology officer has been suspended and the team running the scheme is being disbanded. The chair of the Commons Public Accounts Committee, Margaret Hodge, says she's totally shocked at the BBC decision to cancel the project and write off the licence fee money spent on it. We're with me now, our media correspondent, David Silito. So just tell us what's happened here.
A project began 2007, described by the BBC as the single most important technology project it was undertaking, essentially getting rid of everything from the BBC archives so you could be able to work with at your desktop. It just didn't work. 2010 it ran into trouble. 2011 missed its deadlines. 2012, 2013. And today they've just accepted it doesn't work and they've scrapped the entire thing. 98.4.
Anyway, here's what happened, and if you read to those bullet points, you might recognize them. They are the usual suspects here. So there was multiple interpretations of what digital transformation meant. There was a lot of mismanagement in terms of governance, a lot of conflicting priorities, and different teams working on several work streams that were not aligned. And it ended up with almost $200 million spent on that project. 6 years of work ended up completely dismissed. Here's another example. This is the Cooperative Bank. Similar scenario, they wanted to transition to a more modern landscape. They wanted to streamline all their banking operations. They wanted to enhance digital services, of course, provide better services to the customers, and make compliance easier for them. And here's what happened. Again, lack of a structured framework to start from the as-is architecture to the to-be architecture. There was no framework in place, poor management, and obviously problems with legacy architecture and legacy systems. Same scenario, they spent even more money, almost $500 million, which is not a small amount, and it forced them to seek for external capital, weakening their position in the market. Again, the important thing here is not the names here. These are just a few examples. I guess you can all think of other examples that you have lived, that you have seen. The bottom line here is not having a proper alignment between the vision of the business and the enablers of that vision to become true, to become relevant, to become real, is really dangerous. We're not talking about a single I would say, silly project to upgrade a software. We're talking about core strategies that can lead to a $1 million loss project or even make a company go bankrupt, right? Well, this is the executive report stating that one of the main causes for their situation was failed computer development project, as they call them. Anyway, the first thing that you might think of, okay, so what happened? What were the reasons? We saw some of those there already. I like to think of it like this analogy of, okay, they were both parts, business and IT, were in the same field, but they were not playing, they not even play the same sport. They were doing completely different things. One part was just trying to keep the lights on. The other part saw potential in IT and so, okay, let's do this transformation, crazy stuff, which made sense, but we need to have proper alignment. We need to have some bridge people there that aligns both parts. So we all make sure that this happens in the right way. We all know what happens and what was the reality of enterprise architecture. We were just a supporting function to make their business optimization work. They work in silo departments. They didn't have proper visibility and influence at the board level to make the right decisions, or at least to listen to them. and one of the most important part, the cultural barriers, right? I think that we can all relate to this scenario. And I can put that because I'm a computer science guy, so I'm one of those. So I'm entitled to put that. And we call them, you know, the cavemen, or how my colleague Mark likes to call them, the basement boys. These guys that are just doing weird stuff in a dark room. But on the other hand, we also have the PowerPoint Rangers, right? They always has their iPad with them, with a lot of KPIs, a lot of graphs, a lot of arrows here and there. So they're complete different movies, right? What's more important, and one of the reasons why all those projects failed, is because at that time, and I'm not telling you anything that you don't know already, there was a boom in technology. A lot of stuff was going on. We had cloud computing, we have a SaaS, we have Web 2.0, we have mobile computing. A lot of stuff was going on, and of course, all the expenditure in IT was rising. Again, IT was started to be perceived not only as a support function, but also something that could bring some competitive value, some competitive advantage to the business. But the ones that could put that in a real scenario were not talking to each other. So if you put all the ingredients all together, you put this misalignment, these two separate worlds, technology booming, you end up with the most feared creature that you can find in a business. Do you know what I'm talking about? No? I'm sure if you see it, you'll recognize it. It's the coolest transformation project ever, PowerPoint presentation. And it's not a PowerPoint presentation, it's the PowerPoint presentation. It's the most feared creature you can find. And if you have faced one of those, you know what I'm talking about. It has rockets here, it has people smiling at you, it has a lot of money here, upward trend graphs, and the most deadly weapon, I call it the executive handshake. If one of those lands in an executive board, the project gets sold, and the rest is history, right? So of course, this is a silly, stupid joke to make fun of it. The bottom line is that we have to have these synergies. We have to work together, both worlds, right? So the next question is, are we doing better? How are things? Are we getting any better? Continue with this analogy. I'd say, yes, we're better. We are on the same field. We are already playing the same game, but we're still struggling to find the synergies between both teams. We're still struggling to row the same direction, right? I like this video that it shows. Imagine the ball is the company's mission. So we have IT and business trying to score, trying to put the ball the right place, but they're all thinking on different scenarios. The business team thinks that they have to put it there, and then comes the IT guys to block it, say, no, the right path is the other one. So we're still struggling to find a way to improve and get our synergies between both worlds. On the other hand, landscape complexity has become so obvious that not all, but most of businesses recognize the figure of an enterprise architect to act as this bridge that we were talking about, right? IT investment continues to grow. In fact, Gartner has forecasted at almost 10% increase for this year in IT expenditure. But again, we're still struggling to find the synergies between both worlds. We are on it. We'll sort that out, but we are still on it. On the other hand, of course, AI, we're all trying our first POCs. Everyone is using ChatGPT. Everyone is using that kind of stuff. And at the same time, company-wise, we're starting to realize how fragile is our architecture and our legacy stuff, our technical debt. We have a lot of data, but we don't know how to use it. We have a lot of security issues. It's getting more and more relevant. And we have, as well, different software integration issues. So we're starting to realize, okay, so if we want to improve our system, we have to start to look what we have and how we go to the next level with that. Overall, we have even more rapid disruptions. Every week, there's a new model in AI. Every week, there's a new innovation. Everything is changing. So we need a framework that allows you to set a baseline so we can change directions as often as we need to. We still need to generate some awareness, but the key part to me, looking at the future, is, okay, we've seen a lot of disruptive technologies, right? We've seen blockchain and decentralization. We've seen, I don't know, quantum computing, but this is a story for another day. But of course, we have AI. right? AI. AI has come to change everything in the business and has come to stay and will change, as I said, everything in the business, all the processes. So the obvious question is, okay, at first we were in the same field, playing different stuff. Then we agreed, okay, we should play the same sport, fine. What would be our role in the future? Would we even be the players, or should we have a different role there, maybe as a trainee? I don't know. So I tried to gather all the information that I could regarding the forecasting of the different phases all companies will have regarding AI and how AI will transform every business. And I come up with this, I would say, summary of those 3 phases. I'd say that we are already in the first phase, right? We're trying to scale our first POCs. We're trying to see how we can update, modernize our data infrastructure, and what should we do in terms of governance and AI models. We're still struggling to transform these POCs into something production ready, but we are there. This is phase 1. In phase 2, we expect to have this co-pilot mode, where we have a lot of automations, a lot of processes are already automated, and business people can take a lot of decisions because the insights are there. So AI is like, as it says, it's a co-pilot that helps you to make the right decisions. What's most important is that everyone, all the people, I'm talking McKinsey, I'm talking Deloitte, I'm talking Gartner, say the same. We're going to a fully automated scenario where AI will take over all operations in a company. That means all processes that we are doing with all the different departments will be done autonomously and super efficiently with AI. So then the next question here, if operational efficiency, it's a commodity, where does the competitive advantages rely on? Where's our role? What should we do, right? This is the obvious question. If we're headed that way, what's in it for us? What's the value that we can bring there? To explain this, so let's step back a little bit. So what would you say is the core, how to say it, it's the core task, the core responsibility of a leader? I'm not talking about IT leader, I'm not talking about business overall. Generically, what would you say is the core task, responsibility that a leader has to do? There are a lot of valid answers. Any guess? Well, yes, it's a good one. It's a good one. So if you ask me, sorry?
Lead.
Yes. In the end, no, these are completely right. It's completely true. But bottom line, to me, if you ask me, all leaders have to do at least one of those 3 things. They can either create, they can either sustain, or they can either create competitive advantage. This is on a bottom line, right? If you talk to, I don't know, a director of a manufacturing plant, when they try to increase by a 5% the efficiency of the production model, they will get better numbers in the contribution margin, so they have more money to get this competitive advantage, to get, I don't know, better pricing for customers, I don't know, more investment, more benefit for the shareholders, whatever it is. If you ask the finance guys, they were always trying to work on their working capital, work on their cash flow operations to get this competitive edge in the market, right? So no matter what you look at, no matter what kind of leader, it all falls down into at least one of those 3 topics that I just said. So going back here, if we look to the past, where did the value rely on? So everyone was trying to optimize processes in the company, right? Let's try to, I don't know, as I said before, make this manufacturing process 5% more efficient. Let's reduce the collection days. Let's try to optimize all the processes that we have in the company. And then all those optimizations define what the architecture and the architecture should support. So enterprise architecture was there to support those process optimizations. Then we got to the present, and everyone realized that IT technology by themselves could bring a lot of value out of that. So it was not just optimizing processes in the company, technology breakthroughs, technology innovations brought some competitive advantages. So we have both. And then business leaders were looking at both. Okay, how we should improve those processes here, but also what technology should we integrate to bring this competitive advantage, right? What will happen in the future if AI takes over all the operational stuff? Because they will be more efficient. All the agents will be way more efficient than us. Where is the value there? In the enterprise architecture. All the operational stuff is done. It's done. Everyone will work with AI. That would be a commodity. So where is the value? As a business leader, where should I look at in the future? There. Fair enough? Okay. What I'm talking there is this won't be the exact same stuff that an enterprise architect is currently doing. But what they will be looking at is complex decision-making processes, right? In high stake with a lot of information, with a lot of stakes going on there. How do I orchestrate all the AI stuff that I have going on there in my processes? How do I innovate? How do I organize? How do I select? How do I isolate? How do I build all those AI agents, workflows, stuff, whatever I have there to get this competitive edge? How do I make sure that they won't, they don't get mad and start doing things that I don't want to? I have to ensure that everything falls within these guardrails, right? I have to ensure fairness and accountability. Those are the things that will bring value in the future, because all the other stuff would be a commodity. And one might say, okay, if AI is taking over and is doing all the operational stuff, couldn't AI do those stuff as well? That's a fair question, right? I also ask myself, well, maybe, but what about conflicts between the ethics, the goals, and the market? How about that when you have a bunch of agents competing in a market? What happens when they have different goals that collide with the ethics? What happens with the training I provided with that specific agent or whatever I decide to put there, and they evolve into something different? Not all the questions can be, not all the decisions can be done by AI. There's some data. So yeah, for example, maybe it's not the best example, but it's fairly clear here. So when you're trying to recruit someone, you cannot stick just to the data. If you ask an AI agent, they will look at the CV, they will see if there's any red flags, green flags, whatever it is. But you need to see that person. You need to see the soft skills. You need to see if they have, I don't know, 3 years of why was that? If you ask an AI, that would be a red flag, but maybe, I don't know, he had an illness, he had, I don't know, whatever it is, I don't care. There are some things that cannot be fetched, that have data that is not available. So we still need to have these kinds of decisions. What happens if we have a lot of AIs competing? Imagine that we have in the market a lot of AI agents competing on getting the best pricing. And they all agree, all the agents from different brands, that the best approach is to start increasing prices altogether. Because they understand that the best approach is not cutting margins. If I put my price higher, the other one will put the price higher, and then mine will be higher, and it spirals in a monopoly. You get into trouble there. You have to control that. What happens if, what happens if I have a bot, an investing bot, okay, that looks around all the data there's available, and it finds out that the more people you have playing Candy Crush, the higher this stock gets. And this is true in the short term. It might be true. I don't know. It's a weird correlation, but it can be true. And it might work in the short term, but I think we can all agree that that might be terrible in the future, right? So we might find some correlations that can be dangerous for that. And of course, the moment you concatenate a lot of agents there, minor deviations can become huge. I don't know if you have that in your country, the telephone game. I don't know if you know what that is. You have this row of people, and I say potato, and the last one says telephone. So it's something like that, right? We have to take care of those things. right? So going back to the original question, why every business leader needs to think as an enterprise architect. I think I mostly answered that, but let's put it here in writing. Competitive advantage will come from EA, as we saw before. Executive decisions will fall into the EA domain because that's where the value will be, okay? Innovation will come from improving orchestration, sorry. So how do I organize? How do I set up my army? What should I manage? How should I put my guardrails? To what extent this AI stuff should do their agent, workflow, whatever. Being smart on that part, that's what will bring the value there. And data, of course, nothing new here, would be super valuable. And guess what? Data strategy falls into this domain, okay? So a couple of thoughts on going forward, like what every business leader should be looking at as of today. First of all, EA is not a skill. It's just a discipline. It's something that has to be infused across all the departments. Let's not repeat the mistakes we did in the past. This is not something isolated that some guys in a dark room do. This is something that we have to infuse across every business unit, okay? It's a race to be ready. If we all agree that AI brings competitive advantages, it works, it improves a lot more our operations. The sooner we prepare our landscape, the sooner we integrate AI improvements, the more competitive advantage we have against our competitors in the market, right? Data is everything. I mean, of course, data is everything. I mean, everyone says that. I would just highlight a couple of topics. The relevance of clean data, right? Let's make sure it's not just a matter of having your own data. It's not just a matter of protecting or putting, I don't know, in a vector database so you can use your RAG systems. Whatever you do is to have clean data. Your AI is as good as your data. If you have dirty data, you're done. One of the other key topics that I would highlight, besides, of course, data is super important, is the relevance of semantics. This is super important. People don't talk that much about semantics. To me, it's key. This is, so instead of having a model that infers the relationship between objects, if we are able to state, okay, this object is related to this object is related to that, if we enforce that relationship, we are reducing the hallucinations. We are reducing to a huge extent the margin of error. So putting the data in a way that you have all your structures that you need for AI, but also the semantics of it is key. Data objects, the relationships, you put that in stone. So when you have your AI learning stuff there going on, they know exactly, they don't infer, they know exactly the relationships. So you are cutting and you're reducing to a huge amount the risk that you have in the outputs that you can get in an LLM or whatever you have there, okay? And the last one, ethics and moral are the skills of the future. And I had a couple of weeks ago, I had lunch with a colleague. He's a CEO of a big company, and this guy is a super engineer, super square-minded, and we were talking about education, right? So in 20 years, what would be the education of the kids? They will be super dumb, super stupid, because AI will do everything, right? And we were having this discussion, and my take, I don't know if I'm right or not, I think it's quite the opposite. So if dealing with challenges, moral challenges, ethic challenges would be the most required skills in the future, I think instead of memorizing the rivers that we have in this state, instead of even, I don't think that we should still do math, but instead of replicating a formula that we just learned to do some basic arithmetics, maybe they spend 4 hours discussing complex challenges, moral challenges, ethics, something that no one has a clear answer. There's no 1 or 0. It's not a yes or no. maybe we come back to the, I don't know, the ancient Rome with the philosophy there, all the people thinking about, maybe what they learn is to think, not to apply formulas. And I don't know if that's better or not, but what I know for sure, or at least I'm convinced, those kind of skills, managing complex situations, where there's no clear answer, where you have to balance inside information, outside information, ethic dilemmas would be one of the most valued skills in the future. So wrap it up. I don't know if I'm too fast or not. Anyway, I think this sentence wraps up pretty much what I wanted to share with you guys. I don't know what you think. To me, steering the ship won't be as important as it is today. The relevance and the competitive advantage will come from defining the vessel's design. That's what would make the difference to me. And to me, that's enterprise architecture. So yeah, that's mainly it. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed this session. And if you have any questions, feel free. Thank you.
Yeah,
Should I?
it's okay. I mean, I think that your final point is, for me, the most.
This one?
Yeah, that's the most problematic part to me of your entire presentation.
Okay.
Because I feel like you're saying steering the ship is the easy part.
Right.
Actually, if you could go anywhere, deciding where to go actually becomes the hardest part. And
Right.
and basically what you're saying is if all technical things are going to be handled by some version of AI, so it doesn't matter, it's just orchestrating, I don't see, I feel like you didn't adequately define enterprise architecture in a way that made it feel like it was the solution to the problem you're posing.
Right.
Because I don't think enterprise architecture as a discipline actually is good at answering the strategic question. What's the best? I mean, and I worked for SAP
No, no, no,
MIX. I've been talking about this for 5 years.
This presentation is meant to be
Provocative.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
no. It felt, and I love it. I love exactly. In fact, when I was in grad school, I loved giving presentations like this. So, but that's my challenge.
Right.
Because I feel like an architect designs a thing for a purpose. Let's say at a
Yes.
very high level.
Yes.
The architect in general doesn't define the purpose. And in fact, I have never seen an architecture framework that helps you decide what the best purpose is. In fact, and I talk about this at Leonardo because I'm part of messaging and all this other stuff. And we always say, even SAP, the same thing with their Activate and all this different stuff.
Right.
It always starts with strategy,
Right.
and then you have your as-is state, then you do your plan, then you do your
Right.
blah, 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 blah.
Right.
The part we don't do is the strategy part.
Right.
I mean, that's where the McKinseys and the BCGs and
That's-
whatnot
that-
are
no,
going.
that's a
And
really good
that's my
point.
only challenge with this, because I feel like it's almost more like what you're really saying is, no, it's the design thinkers, the ones who solve a problem and have a
Right.
framework for problem solving, are the ones who should be in the lead, and they should be working with the enterprise architects. But that was my take back to you.
No, that's really good. Yeah, and it's really good. I mean, I appreciate that. First, regarding the sentence,
Yes.
what I meant by steering the ship, I meant taking the right decision. It was more operational wise rather than
Okay.
strategically,
Uh-huh.
but it's fine. It's a good input.
Yeah.
Regarding what you said before, and maybe I should have mentioned that. In my mind, going back to maybe, let's see, wherever it's around here, so maybe here. Maybe I should have changed enterprise architecture here. Maybe I should have changed the name.
Yeah.
So to me, I kept the name, but this would be a different role.
Yeah, exactly.
That
It'll
this would
change
be-
what it is.
Maybe I could put enterprise orchestrator.
Uh,
That would have a blend. I don't know what's the right word,
Yeah.
but yes, you're right. I kept that for the sake of simplicity,
uh-huh.
but yes, it's true.
Yeah.
The future work or the role or responsibilities will incorporate and remove some parts of the existing reality of an enterprise architect. And you're right, it's true. It's true. I just kept that for the sake of simplicity again, but maybe I should have specifically said maybe this role will evolve in time.
Yeah.
So thank you for
Anyway,
that.
but you got me really thinking.
No,
about
it's
that.
So maybe you can define the role in the marketing organization. You'll
We're
work on
working
that
on
name.
it.
You'll work on the
I'll work
name of the new
on it.
role.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
So-
Anyone else has any question? No? well, hopefully it was useful to you, and thank you guys for being here. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.